Daniel Wilson had never felt so proud in his entire life. At 40 years old, he finally held the keys to his own home. It was a beautiful 3-bedroom house in a quiet Austin neighborhood. The lawn was green, the porch was wide, and the kitchen had brand new counters. He and his wife Sarah had saved for over a decade. Every dollar they earned went into that savings account. They skipped vacations. They drove old cars. They said no to dinners out. But it was all worth it, because now they had a home. The seller was a man named Richard Hartwell. He seemed friendly and honest. He shook Daniel's hand with a warm smile. He talked about how much he loved the house. He said he was only selling because he had to move to another state for work. Daniel believed him. The inspection report came from a licensed company. It said the house was completely free of pests. No termites, no rodents, no issues. The report was signed by Mark Benson, a certified inspector. Daniel trusted the paperwork. He signed the contract and transferred his life savings. 3 months passed. Daniel and Sarah painted the walls. They bought new furniture. They planted flowers in the backyard. It was their little paradise. But one evening, everything changed. Daniel was cooking dinner when he heard a strange sound. It was a soft cracking noise coming from the kitchen floor. He looked down and saw tiny holes in the wood. He touched the floor and his finger went right through. His heart stopped. He called a real pest expert the next morning. The expert arrived and inspected every corner of the house. His face turned serious. He looked at Daniel with pity. "Son, this house is infested with termites," he said. "They have been here for years. The damage is severe. You need about $45,000 to fix it." Daniel felt the ground disappear beneath him. His dream home was a nightmare. His savings were gone. And then he remembered the report. The report that said the house was perfect. He knew something was very wrong. He knew Richard Hartwell had lied. Daniel could not sleep that night. His mind kept racing back to the inspection report. How could a licensed expert miss such obvious damage? The termite holes were everywhere. The expert told him the infestation was at least 5 years old. That meant Hartwell knew about it. That meant the report was a lie. Daniel decided to dig deeper. He called Mark Benson, the inspector who signed the report. He asked for an explanation. Benson sounded nervous on the phone. He made excuses about missed spots. He offered a small refund. But Daniel was not buying it. The next day, Daniel drove to Benson's office. He wanted to see the original documents. When he arrived, Benson was not there, but his phone was sitting on the desk, and the screen was lit up. Daniel saw a text message from a contact named R.H. His heart pounded. He picked up the phone and scrolled. What he found made his blood boil. There were dozens of messages. They proved that Richard Hartwell had paid Mark Benson $5,000. The payment was for a clean report. Benson had known about the termites the whole time. He had accepted the bribe and lied on paper. Daniel took screenshots of every single message. He sent them to his own phone. Then he placed the phone back exactly where he found it. He walked out of the office in a daze. His hands were shaking. He felt betrayed, angry, and heartbroken. But he also felt something else. Determination. He was not going to let Hartwell get away with this. He was not going to let Benson ruin his life. He called his friend Elena, a tough real estate lawyer. She listened to everything. "This is fraud, Daniel," she said. "We have enough evidence to take them to court. Do not confront them yet. Let me handle the legal strategy." Daniel followed Elena's advice. He stayed silent and collected more evidence. He visited the neighbors and asked about Hartwell. One elderly woman told him the truth. That house had termite problems for years, she said. Richard tried to sell it twice before, but the buyers always backed out. Daniel felt sick. Hartwell had been trying to cheat someone for a long time. He was a professional liar. But now Daniel had the proof. The text messages, the neighbor's testimony, the expert's report. He gave everything to Elena. She built a strong case for fraud and misrepresentation. Weeks passed. Daniel and Sarah lived in the damaged house. They covered the holes with rugs. They ate in the living room. Their dream home felt like a prison. But Daniel did not give up. He knew justice was coming. Elena filed the lawsuit against Hartwell and Benson. The court date was set. Hartwell tried to settle privately. He offered Daniel $50,000 to drop the case. But Daniel refused. "I want my full money back," he said. "You stole my life savings. You destroyed my trust. I will not settle." Hartwell grew nervous. He called Daniel multiple times. He begged. He threatened. He cried. But Daniel stood firm. Finally, the day of the trial arrived. Daniel walked into the courtroom with Elena by his side. Hartwell sat at the defendant's table, swearing. Benson sat next to him, looking pale. The judge called the case to order. Daniel took the stand and told his story. His voice was steady and clear. He described the dream, the betrayal, and the discovery. Then Elena presented the evidence. She showed the text messages on a large screen. The courtroom went silent. Hartwell tried to deny it, but a forensic expert confirmed the messages were real. The trap had closed. The judge examined every piece of evidence carefully. He read the text messages line by line. He looked at Daniel with sympathy and Hartwell with disgust. He asked Mark Benson one simple question. "Did you take money to falsify this report?" Benson broke down completely. He admitted everything through tears. He confessed that Hartwell had paid him to ignore the termite damage. He said he was sorry, but his apology meant nothing. The damage was already done. Daniel sat in silence as the judge prepared his ruling. The courtroom was tense. Everyone waited for the final decision. The judge looked directly at Richard Hartwell. "You committed fraud," he said. "You knowingly deceived a first-time homebuyer. You put his family's safety and financial future at risk. This court finds you guilty of misrepresentation and fraud. You are ordered to refund the full purchase price to the Wilsons. Additionally, you will pay all court fees and legal costs." Hartwell's face turned white. He could not speak. He had lost everything. The judge also fined Mark Benson and suspended his license permanently. Daniel felt a wave of relief wash over him. He looked at Sarah, who was crying tears of joy. They had won. They got their $300,000 back. They walked out of the courtroom with their heads held high. Hartwell was escorted away in shame. The story spread quickly in the neighborhood. People praised Daniel for his courage. He became a symbol of standing up for what is right. 2 months later, Daniel and Sarah bought a new home. This time they hired their own independent inspector. They trusted their instincts, not just paperwork. The moral of the story is simple. Honesty always wins in the end. Greed and lies always collapse. Daniel learned a painful lesson. He learned that trust must be earned, not given freely. But he also learned something beautiful. He learned that truth has power. And when you fight for justice, you always find your way back. Daniel never forgot that day in the courtroom. He never forgot the lesson. And he made a promise to himself. He would never let anyone take advantage of him again. And he would always help others who faced the same battle.